In the heart of a land where the sun painted the earth gold and the moon whispered secrets to the night, there lay a village encircled by ancient baobab trees. The people of this village, proud and bound by tradition, measured purity, not only by the words spoken in daylight, but by the shadows that danced in the silence of night. Here, the past was never truly gone. It lingered in the air, in the soil, and in the stories told around the fire. Among the villagers was a girl named Adana. Her name meant her father's daughter, and she wore it with the quiet dignity of one who understood the weight of expectation. Adana was the youngest daughter of the village healer, a woman revered for her wisdom and feared for her knowledge of the unseen from the moment of her birth. Adana was marked by the elders as one destined for something beyond the ordinary. Her eyes, deep and reflective, seemed to hold the memory of Forn. Zero Hunzu, 0 ancestors. The village claimed Adana was a virgin. They watched her with the scrutiny reserved for those believed to carry the hope of the clan. Her steps were measured, her laughter soft, her gaze modest. She moved through the world as if she were a vessel of untainted spirit, a living testament to the purity so cherished and so rarely found. The women whispered blessings over her head, and the men looked away, careful not to invite the wrath of tradition. She was to them a symbol, untouched, unsullied, and sacred. But as the sun dipped beneath the horizon and the world turned blue with dusk, Adana's reality unraveled each night as she lay upon her woven mat. Dreams came to her, dreams so vivid they left her breathless heart pounding and body trembling with a longing she could not name in these dreams. The world was transformed. The trees grew taller, their roots pulsing with life. The river sang songs of longing and loss. The wind carried voices that called her by, names she did not know. And always there was a presence, warm, insistent, and familiar. It pressed against her, claimed her, and left her gasping in the darkness. In the morning, Adana would wake with the taste of salt on her lips and the ache of something lost deep within her. She would wash herself in the river, scrubbing her skin until it glowed. But the feeling would not leave it, clung to her like a second skin, a secret only she could feel. She wondered if the women who called her pure could sense the turmoil that raged within her. She wondered if her mother, with her knowing eyes, saw the truth in the set of her jaw and the tremble of her hands. The dreams began subtly whispers at the edge of sleep. At first she dismissed them as the ramblings of a restless mind. But as the nights wore on, they grew more insistent, more real. She saw faces, some familiar, others strange, emerging from the shadows. She heard voices, sometimes gentle, sometimes commanding, speaking words, and tongues she had never learned. And always there was a touch, a caress, that left her both terrified and yearning one night, as the moon hung low and swollen in the sky. Adana dreamt of a figure standing at the edge of the river. The water shimmered around him, and his eyes glowed with an ancient light. He called to her, his voice a blend of thunder and honey. She felt herself drawn to him, her feet moving of their own accord. When she reached him, he reached out and traced a line down her cheek, his fingers leaving trails of fire. "You are the bridge," he whispered. You carry the longing of those who came before. Adana woke with a start. Her body slick with sweat, her sheets tangled around her legs. She pressed her palms to her chest, feeling the wild rhythm of her heart. She knew with a certainty that chilled her that this was no ordinary dream. The boundary between the world of the living and the world of spirits was thinning. And she stood at the threshold the next day. Adana sought the counsel of her mother. She found her in the shade of the baobab, grinding herbs for a healing poultice. The air was thick with the scent of earth and leaves. Adana knelt beside her, unsure how to begin. Mother, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I see things at night, I feel things I cannot explain. Mother paused, her hands stilling over the mortar and pestle. She looked at Adana, her eyes searching, weighing. Tell me, she said softly. Adana spoke, then her words tumbling out in a rush, the dreams, the voices, the touch that lingered long after she woke. When she finished, her mother was silent for a long moment. You are not alone in this, her mother said at last. Our blood carries memories, desires, wounds. The ancestors speak to us in many ways. Sometimes they come to us in dreams, seeking what they lost in life. Adana shivered, but why me? Her mother smiled, a sad, knowing smile. Because you are open, because you listen, because you are the bridge. As he said that night, Adana lay awake, listening to the sounds of the village, the distant laughter, the chirping of crickets, the rustle of leaves. She wondered what it meant to be a bridge. She wondered if the purity the village saw in her was a blessing or a curse. As sleep claimed her, the dreams returned more intense than ever. She stood in a field of tall grass, the sky swirling with colors she had never seen. The air was thick with desire, with longing that pressed against her skin like a lover's. Embrace the figure from the river appeared again, his eyes burning with a hunger that was both ancient and new. You carry us, he said, his voice echoing in her bones. You carry all that we could not have. Adana felt herself pulled toward him, her body responding to a call she did not understand. She felt his hands on her, gentle and insistent, his lips brushing against her ear. Do not fear your longing, he whispered. It is the gift we left behind when she woke. Her body ached with a sorrow she could not name. She wept silent tears that soaked her pillow. She wanted to scream, to run, to tear the secrets from her skin. But she rose, washed herself in the river, and faced the day with the same quiet dignity. The villagers continued to watch her, to speak of her purity in hushed, reverent tones. They did not see the shadows that lingered in her eyes, the tremble in her hands. They did not know that each night her dreams bled with the desires of those who came before. As the days passed, the dreams grew more insistent. Adana began to dread the coming of night, to fear the moment when sleep would drag her into a world she could not control. She tried to fight it, to stay awake, but exhaustion always claimed her in the end. One night she dreamt of a woman tall, regal, with eyes like polished obsidian. The woman wore a crown of cowrie shells, and her voice was like the sound of rain on dry earth. You are our vessel, she said, through you we remember, through you we live. Adana knelt before her, her heart pounding. Why do you come to me? What do you want? The woman smiled, a smile filled with both sorrow and pride. We want what was denied us. We want to taste, to feel, to love you are pure, yes. But your purity is not what they think. It is not the absence of desire, but the fullness of it. You hold the longing of generations. Adana woke with a gasp. Her body trembling, she understood in that moment that her dreams were not a curse, but a calling. She was the vessel through which the ancestors sought to heal, to remember, to reclaim what had been lost, but the burden was heavy each day. She moved through the village like a shadow, her smile fading, her laughter growing rare. Her mother watched her with worried eyes, but said nothing. The other women began to whisper their blessings, turning to questions. One afternoon, as Adana fetched water from the river, she met a boy named Kalichi. He was new to the village, his family having arrived from a distant land. Kalichi was kind, with a gentle smile and eyes that seemed to see beyond the surface. He greeted her with respect, never lingering too long, never pressing too close. Over time, they became friends. They spoke of small things, the weather, the crops, the stories of their childhoods. With Kalichi, Adana felt a sense of peace. She had not known in a long time. He did not ask about her dreams, did not pry into her silence. He simply sat with her, offering his presence as a balm one evening as the sky blushed with the colors of sunset. Kalichi turned to her. "You carry a great sorrow," he said softly. "I see it in your eyes." Adana looked away, tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. "It is not a sorrow I can share." Kalichi reached out his hand, warm and steady. "You do not have to carry it alone." For the first time, Adana allowed herself to hope. Perhaps she thought she did not have to bear the weight of her dreams by herself. Perhaps there was a way to honor the ancestors without losing herself. That night, she dreamt of the river again. The figure stood on the shore, his eyes softer now, his presence less demanding. "You are not alone," he said. "You never were." Adana woke with a sense of peace she had not felt in months. She rose, washed herself in the river, and faced the day with a new resolve. She sought her mother, and together they prepared a ritual, a ceremony to honor the ancestors, to acknowledge their longing, and to set boundaries between the world of the living and the world of dreams. The village gathered beneath the baobab, the air thick with anticipation. Adana stood before them, her voice steady. She spoke of her dreams, of the desires that bled through her each night. She spoke of the ancestors, of their longing to remember, to feel, to heal. She spoke of the burden of purity and the freedom that came with embracing her own desires. The villagers listened in silence, their faces a tapestry of fear, awe, and understanding. When she finished, her mother stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We are all bridges," her mother said. "We all carry the longing of those who came before. Let us honor them, but let us also honor ourselves." The ritual began. The women sang songs of remembrance, their voices rising like smoke into the night sky. The men drummed their rhythms, echoing the heartbeat of the earth. Adana danced, her body moving with a freedom she had never known. She felt the presence of the ancestors, their longing, mingling with her own, their sorrow giving way to joy when the ceremony ended. Adana felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She looked at Kalichi, who smiled and nodded his eyes. shining with pride from that day forward. Adana's dreams changed. The night terrors faded, replaced by visions of beauty and hope. She still felt the presence of the ancestors, but their longing no longer consumed her. She had found a way to honor them without losing herself. The village no longer spoke of her purity in hushed, reverent tones. They spoke instead of her courage, her wisdom, her strength. Adana became a healer in her own right, guiding others through the darkness of their own dreams. And so in the village encircled by ancient baobab trees, the line between past and present, between longing and fulfillment, was redrawn. The ancestors were honored, their desires acknowledged, their wounds healed, and Adana, once claimed as a symbol of purity, became something far greater, a bridge between worlds, a vessel of hope, and a testament to the power of embracing one's own longing. In the years that followed, the village flourished, the crops grew tall, the children laughed, and the stories told around the fire grew richer with each retelling. Adana's tale became legend, a story of purity, redefined, of night terrors, transformed, of ancestral desire, honored and healed. And on nights when the moon hung low and swollen in the sky, the villagers would gather beneath the baobab, singing songs of remembrance, their voices weaving the past and present into a tapestry of hope. And in the quiet that followed, they would remember Adana, the girl who dreamed, who bled, who bridged the worlds, and give thanks for the gift of longing and the courage to embrace it.